So welcome back, guys. So I hope you are all doing good, and we are been seeing about how we can develop mobile automation framework from the scratch, and using that we have seen a lot of topics like for state pattern, lot of other topics including that. So today, I think we haven't integrated our framework with a report. So a framework without a report is horrible, so we'll try to integrate with the report. So anyone has any doubts? I see someone speaking, so if not, thank you. Okay, so we'll try to integrate with the report, right? So again, basically we can use a lot of reporting, and then TestNG also comes with default report, but most importantly those are not enough to be shared with the client. So properly, people normally use extend reports, allure reports, but I am a fan of extend reports. It has a lot of good features. You can also explore about reportportal.io. It is also really cool. But yeah, in this framework we're going to cover it with the extend reports. So very simple piece of code that we have already written, right? So you notice we have already written the piece of code. So I am just trying to go over this again and do a small revision. Okay, so we are using an extend report library, external library. We are creating a reference for the extend reports. We're creating object for this extend Spark reporter. While creating it, we need to pass the path where we want to create our report file, and we are naming it as syntax.html. This is because the convention being followed for all the results, and I'm just generating it on the root directory. We may change the directory where the reports is getting generated in our framework. Again, with the small configuration changes, if you want to set your title, report theme, and document title, you can do that. And once you are done with all these things, you need to add extent. Okay, you need to add your reporters, whatever the report support. You want to generate multiple reports, you can also do that, but in our case we're going to create only one report, so just I'm adding only one report. Okay, if you want to create one more report, you can also add extend Spark reporter Spark 2 and then given a different path, so that it writes it to both the reporters. Okay, and this we can consider, almost here we can consider as an initializing part. Okay, initializing part. And now after doing all these things, okay, we can create a node for our test case in the report. So to do that, we have to call the create test method and then pass the test case name. And we can also assign author and devices and category to it. But in this case, yeah, I think we just doing that, and then we are writing some logs to the first test case. For the second test case, again, you need to call this create test method, do the same thing. You can write your logs for that. And at the end of the day, we need to do extend.flush, so that you know uh, the reports class gets written to the HTML file, and then it get closed properly. Okay, so this is a tear down, right? So basically this is your tear down operation or your cleanup operation, whatever you want to call it. And now we are going to move this code, the same piece of code, to the framework, right? So let's try to do it. Okay, let me close this. Okay, so I'll copy this piece of code. Now we have a doubt, where should I add this? Okay, so this is a piece of code that I want to add. Where should I add this, guys? Anyone? I'm waiting for errors. Okay.
This class.
Here.
No. In resources, you need to add.
No, I'm not asking where I need to see. I'm asking about where I should add this code. This code, where should I copy? Where should I do it?
Before suite.
Okay, so okay. I can do it in before suite. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, I copy this. Okay, I go there. I'll put it in the before suite. Okay. Now, if you notice, I have already told one rule that in the before test, your base test, all those things should only speak about the test cases, correct?
Yeah.
See, never in any world people can suppose that there is a new guy coming to your project. If he wants to understand where you have written the code for extend reports, if you are writing it here, he may not speak to you for his entire career in your office. Okay, so don't do that. Okay, it's though the intention is correct, though the intention that we need to call it only once in the framework is correct, but keeping the entire code here is bad. Okay, so what we can do, maybe we can move this code somewhere else and we can only call that from here, right? That sounds more reasonable, right? Because if we have a separate place where you can hold
But then
this information. Yeah.
your voice is cutting. We're not able to hear.
Okay,
Come in.
just a minute. Can you hear me now? Well,
Yeah, now good.
yeah, okay. So if you see my voice breaking again, please let me know. I may switch my internet connection. Good, thank you. So the intention is very correct. So we want to keep the code in some place where I have to just call it only once during my entire run. That is correct. But keeping the entire code itself here is wrong. So what we are going to do? We cannot keep this in anywhere in the inside the test class directory. So we have to go somewhere in the main SRC main Java. So I cannot keep it in the constant, rather here in the driver exception first aid. Okay, I have created already the folder for reports. Otherwise, you create the folder for the reports and create a new class called as extend reports. Okay. Extend report. Okay. And then create the class. Now in this class, okay, you can create one method. Let's take it as big static void init reports. We'll name it as init reports. And let's go to the class and then move this whole code, right? So here, that's it. Now you can just only call this from here. Okay, so extend report init reports, right? This is more readable. So if you want to do some alterations or modification, you come and change this class, not your base test. You're just only referencing from here. Okay, that's good. Now we also need to do the tear down operation, all those stuff, right? So what is it? What is that? So it's just a simple piece of code that is extend.flash. So what I can do, I can write here. Void maybe tear down reports. So I need the extend, right? So extend.flash. So I cannot find it. Okay. So what I can do, I can just move this as a okay. Now all the errors are gone, looks fine, right? So now we also need to add this code. Okay. This piece of code, where should we add this? Anyone?
Same thing. Then we need to call in that after suite. Same process we need to follow.
See, no, I'm asking about where we will create a node for the test case. We have learned about how we should create a node for a test case, right? So normally, what we can do, let's take you create it here. Okay. Every test case, whenever a test case is getting started, so you can do it here. Okay. You can do it here. My first test case, you can get this extend object from extend. Okay. Maybe I'll put it as public. Okay. You can write something like this. So you can create like this, right? So but the problem is, this is not a good approach. You cannot keep on writing this in all the test cases. So that's when people may see another approach, like they will create this sorry guys, actually this needs to be called from before suite. Actually we are calling it from suite. Okay, and this has to be from the after suite. Okay, So extend report dot tear down reports. Okay. So yeah, because this has to be executed only once during your entire run, right? Also, you can create your test case node from before method also, right? So instead of writing this code everywhere in all the test cases, what I can directly do, I can cut this and then write it here, right? I can create a node every time. Good. So this might work, right? So again, if I want to get the test case name dynamically, I can use method reflections. Okay. So coming from java.lang.reflect, and here you can basically do m.get name. Okay. So this will dynamically fetch you the string, right? Value of it. Yeah. So this sounds correct, right? So I think it will work, right? So let's try to check whether it is working, right? So let's go here, or maybe I'll just run it from my tab test itself. Okay. Try to run it. We are not writing any logs in the first test case. For now, we are just, creating a report, and then there is only a test case. So it should work. Let's wait. So views is clicked successfully. Drop, drag and drop again, guys. There might, you can give some spaces here so that it's more readable. Drag and drop is success. Cool. So everything got passed. So now we have to just refresh this folder. Okay. And now if you notice, there is an index.html. Okay. If you open it in your Chrome, so now if you notice, the tab test node is getting created. So if you want to write some logs to it, you have to write in your page layers, right? Wherever you are doing this sout operation instead of that. So whatever we have done in the system out statements, we have to do that in the ExtentLogger. Okay, good. So, but writing it here is again not a recommended way. You should not write any code written, related to that here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move that again to this particular class. Okay. So let's name it as public static void create test. Okay. If someone is passing me a string test case name, okay, all I'm going to do is basically extent dot create test. Okay, and then whatever the test case name they passed, I use that to create the test case node. Okay, that gives me an extend test object. Okay, good. So we have now moved that code there. So we'll just quickly optimize this. And guys, we are taking it very step by step. Okay, now what I'm going to do, there is something called as extend report. Inside that, there is something called as create test method. Whatever the test case that I want to create, okay, I'll use this. I'll call this method, and then I'll call this. Okay, now the test node will be created like we saw here. Okay, okay, let me. So whenever I'm speaking about what is a test node, this is a test node, guys. A row will be created here under the test tags. You'll have your test case. Okay, we didn't write any logs here, that's why we are not seeing any logs. We're going to do that. Okay, good. So now let's go here again, and okay, we have created a create test, and this will create a test node for us. Now what I want to do, I want to access this from my page layers. So what I can do, I can make this as, okay, public static. There are better way to do this, guys. We'll do that, but for now we're taking it step by step. Okay, extend test, and we'll remove this. Okay, so now this is globally accessible. Again, you can use a private, and then you can use getter method, but we are going to anyways optimize this. So for now, I'm just keeping it as a variable instead of a getter method. Okay, now you go to your stuff wherever you have written that. Okay, let's go to page list, base page. Okay, here we are just telling element is clicked successfully. Instead of that, what we are going to do is extend report. There is something called as extend report, and there is something called as test. Okay, dot. What I want to do, okay, extend report dot test dot. I want to log something as pass. Okay, so maybe I'll copy this whole stuff, and you can give some space here for more. Now every time it clicks on an element, this time this will log those information into the report. Okay, let's try to run this once again and then check whether it is happening. Okay, so maybe I this will not log this drag and drop is success, but yeah, it just only doing it in the console. But in report we should see two logs now. Okay, on clicking on two different elements, it has to log this particular information in the report. Let's check. So guys, if you have any doubts, you can ask me now. We are going step by step. We will use listeners and other stuff in some time. But yeah, if you have doubts, please feel free to ask. Okay, good. The test is completed. Now what we can do, we can again open this in Chrome. Now, if you notice, views is clicked successfully, drag and drop is clicked successfully. So this is working, right? So obviously there is no change needed. If you are running it in single threaded environment, this will work absolutely fine. But the problem comes when you want to run it in a multi-threaded environment. Okay, because you're directly using the test variable, right? This particular extend test object is having problems with the thread multi-threads, because see it's a it's basically it's a static class level variables. If multiple threads are trying to access this, everyone will try to do some reading and writing operation. So you may see all the logs. Suppose you are running two test cases parallelly, you might see all the logs of the two test cases in only one test case. So it is very important or imperative that we need to provide thread safety to this guy. Okay, to this guy. Okay, anyways, we are not accessing this globally. So only this guy is accessed globally. If there is multi-thread, there might be problems. So how can we avoid this? Hey Amudan, this problem looks very similar to the problem that we have seen before. We have created a driver manager just in order to provide thread safety for our driver reference, correct? So we had a problem before. What problem? Previously, we have a static variable, class level variable, that is driver. It was not thread safe. If you want to run it in multiple environment, it can cause issues. So we used thread locker. So the same, it looks like the same problem we are having. So what we can do, we can use the same approach. Okay, so inside the reports, I'm adding new class now. Okay, so previously we named it as driver manager. This time we will name it as extend manager. Okay, and the code gonna look almost same like your driver manager. Okay, so extend manager and private static, I'm gonna have a thread local. Previously the thread local was holding a WebDriver. Now the generics will be extend test. Okay, we are going to store extend type of thing in the thread local. Okay, let's import it. Okay, let's name it as extend or maybe test. Okay, equal to new thread local. Okay, good. Now I need to use a getter and setter method so that we can properly access it. And if we want to give some control, we can give it via the getter and setter methods. It's not possible if I directly access using the thread local variable. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create public
Your voice.
hello, can you hear me now, Monica?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay guys, there was some problem with my internet, it seems. Okay, public static, and whenever someone is calling me, get test, something get extent test, something like that. I'm gonna return them. Test dot get. Okay. And if someone wants to do the setting, public static void set extent test, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to do test dot set what are the value they are going to pass. Okay, suppose let's assume they're going to pass extend test. Okay, something like that. I'm going to set it to the thread log. That's it. Again, we need to call the remove method so that it won't cause any thread safety issues. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one more method, public static void unload. Okay, and here we can tell test dot remove. Okay, good. That's it, guys. Instead of setting this back to null, what we are doing, we are calling this remove method. Okay, again, guys, I would explained everything in detail in driver when we are creating our driver manager. If you have any doubts, please ask me now. Okay, so do you have any doubts before I proceed further? We have almost replicated the same code that we have written here. Okay, so we created public, private static thread local WebDriver. Here we have generated private static thread local extend test. Okay, then we created one get driver, one set driver, and one unload method. We created get extend test, set extend test, one unload method. Almost same. The only thing that is changing is the return type. So here all these methods, and then the thread local that is storing the value. Okay, that's the only thing that is getting changed. So now we have created the extend manager. What we can do, instead of creating it as a variable here, what I can do, once I create this, all I have to do is assign to set extend test and then assign to the okay. That's it, guys. Okay, now you don't need this anymore. Okay, now what I can do, so I can create it as a extend. Okay, create this. If you want, you can create it as a local variable, or you can directly pass this. Okay, like this. What you feel more comfortable, you can do it. Okay, it should be readable at the end of the day. Okay. Okay, now once I created it, I set that to an extend test wherever I want to use, then I have to go here. Instead of using this, what I need to do, I have to use extend manager dot get extend test and then pass. Okay, let's remove the unused imports, and now the code looks much clean. Okay, now this will also handle multi-threading. So even if you run this test case multiple times, with a multi-threading environment, that should not cause any problems. Okay, let's go here, and this is for creating the test. And what else we can do? Again, if someone is calling this init report multiple times, okay, that's what we have done, right? In driver class, what we did is, if someone is calling this init driver multiple times, it will create a new connection every time. Same way, if someone is calling this init report multiple times, what it will do, it'll override the existing report. So what we want to do, we want to avoid that. Okay, let's assume I am calling this from my before suite. Without knowing, I'm also calling that, let's say, in the after suite. Okay, I don't know. See, I'm making some mistakes. That's okay. But what I'm trying to say is, this will create a report. Okay, this will have some report in it. Then what it will do, it will again create a new report. Okay, it will create a new report. So your report will not have any information. It will directly do the teardown. You will not have anything. So let's see what's happening. So what is the disadvantage of using this, calling this multiple times, and why we need to fix that? Okay, if you're developing a framework for your company, you cannot simply tell them, hey, don't use like this. That's, you have to shield. Even if they are making mistakes, you need to shield them from happening. Okay, let's go to the tab test. Let's try to run the test and look for an empty report. Okay, again, I'm using a browser stack. You can also use your own devices, anything what you feel more comfortable. I think it is getting started. So yeah, Though in the console we could see all the information, but the report will not be there. I'm just trying to refresh the same stuff. So if you notice, there is no test tag, no logs or information, because we have called this multiple times. Okay, we have called this multiple times, so it has overridden some of the existing report. So I want to avoid, even if people are calling this multiple times, so I want to avoid that. Then what I can do, I can go here and again guys, if what you want to do, if you can check, okay, if extend manager dot get extend test equal to null. Okay, to do this null check, what we can also do, we can also tell objects dot not is null. Okay, if it is null, then only I want to do that. Okay, and you can remove this. Okay, you don't need it. If it is null, then do all this operation. Okay, same way, if someone is calling the tier end reports multiple times, don't do that. Okay, if okay objects dot non null, if it is only non null, extend manager dot get extend test, it is only non null, do all these things. Okay, not only you flush your reports, but also do the unload operation. So extend manager dot unload. Okay, this will set this back to a null state. Okay, now if you run the test, it won't have any impact. Okay, because first time when this will be called, this will be null, so this will go here, enter it. Second time they are calling the init reports object, this is not null now, so it will not go here, so it will not get executed. So we are now basically shielding people from making those mistakes. Okay, so we have provided this. Let's try to, okay, maybe we can call this and then see whether it is working or not. Okay, let's go to the tab test and then we'll run the test. Hey, any doubts so far? We're gonna move to listeners. If you're comfortable using this. And before that, we also have something called as ExtentLogger, where we can basically only give the information what these people need. Okay.
Amutan,
Yeah, one by one.
yeah, Amutan, like this one, can we add this base 64 screenshot?
Yeah, we will do that.
Okay.
We are not at there. We'll do that. Basically, yeah. What is the other doubt?
Like where you did that null check,
Yeah.
there we are giving extend test. Do we, like why we are giving extend test? We can give extend also, right? There itself, like
Yeah, you can give extent, but we are mainly focusing. So first I'll complete this. So we have a report now, it's getting generated even though we are calling it multiple times. Okay, so let me go on quickly change that. Okay, just a minute, I'll come to your question. Okay, now let's go here. If you notice, my only intention, you can also use this. Okay, but this gives me a better result every time. Okay, if someone is again setting this back to null, I cannot be sure about it. So what, in my case, I feel, if I do a comparison with this, I can get better results. Again, it will also work, it up to you, but you need to make sure that it is always giving you correct results. Okay.
okay. And this extend dot flush, like this is just to close everything related to extend, or like
What it will
whatever.
do, so whatever the logs or something that whatever you have generated, this flush method only will write it to the report. Whatever the report you have, it will only write it and then it will generate the report for you. If you don't call this, the report will not be generated.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, that's all about it. And yeah, one more optimization we can do. What is that? Okay, let's go to the base page that we are using this code. Okay, we are calling extend manager dot get extend test pass, all those things. Though I can use static imports and then get rid of this, but if you notice, extend manager dot get extend test, if I type a dot, there are a lot of options now. Okay, create node, okay, generate log, get extend, get model, get status. So if you expose all this information to your manual testers or other, suppose you are a test automation architect, okay, you are the framework developer, you are exposing all these things. What these people will do, they will go and start exploring. Okay, they will type this and then they will try. Okay, they'll create a node. Okay, they will tell, okay, I want to create a node. Okay, they will create a node and then they will ask you why this is not working, like what you want. Then you need to provide the information to them. So I don't want all those things. Okay, I want to shield and then give people only some methods what I want to give them. Okay, pass, fail, skip, info. You use only this, don't use other things. I don't want them to use all those stuff. Hey Amar, this looks interesting, but how can I achieve that? Okay, you can easily achieve that with the help of another class. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new class. Okay, let's name it as ExtentLogger. You can also name it something more meaningful, but ExtentLogger is again meaningful. Okay, so okay, you can create. Again, guys, I don't have to give the explanation why I'm using all these things. Okay, you should be in a position to understand that. Okay, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give them a public static void pass. So this method will write pass into the report. So what I'm going to extend manager dot get extend test dot pass. So whatever the string message they're going to pass to me, I log into the report. As simple as that. Okay. The same way you can create for other things. Okay. So let me name it as fail. If someone wants to mark a fail, they call me and give the message, I'll mark it as a fail. If someone wants to call me and mark a skip, I'll do that as well for them. Okay. Someone also wants info, you can also do that. Okay, good. Now we will advise the users. Hey guys, manual testers or fellow automation engineers, don't call directly. You call this extend logger that pass and pass your message. Okay, this sounds interesting. What they will go instead of doing like this, extend logger dot pass. Now we have only 4 options. They have no other option. Okay, they have to choose one from here. So they choose a pass and then they pass the information. Okay, even then some people, okay, there are two kinds of people who will only obey orders, who doesn't obey orders. Okay, I have seen both of them. Both are very dangerous. Okay, you some people will only behave orders and some don't behave your orders. So there are certain people who don't behave your orders, right? They will not listen to you, they will not use this, they will again use this and then they will use it in the code. So to handle those kind of people, we have to shield the people from getting this thing. Okay, how can I shield them? Let's go to the extend manager class and then we'll try to make this as a get extend test is only protect now. Okay, let's keep it as a protector or default. Okay, now we can just leave it like this so that it becomes a default access modifier. So if I go to my base page now, they cannot access this. Okay, because this is not visible here. They are asking you to make it to public. No, I will not make it to public. So they have no other option apart from using this. Okay, good. So if you want the sysout statement, you can have it here, or we have better way to optimize that. You can also do that. Maybe you can remove it. Okay, you don't need it here. I have explained about how we can use Java 8, in order to use our ExtentLogger class in my Java, Java 8 framework playlist. Please do watch that if you haven't watched that. Now, if you notice, the code looks much clean. And if you also do a static import of that, okay, now you just mention pass and then you pass the string information that you want to log into the report. The code looks much clean now, and it's also more effective, right? So yeah, so this is what we want to achieve. We have created just one class and then it can do all the job for us. Okay, so only when there is a failure we want to take a screenshot, maybe like someone want. Okay, we want to do that. So what we can do, we can actually create a new class. Again guys, don't create it here. Okay, if I create it here, it will still work, right? But it's more speak about my logging for in the extend report, and it has no relation to the screenshots. Okay, whenever you find something that is not relevant to the class, please create a new class and then call it from there. Okay, it's not just you are creating more class. That's a bad approach. Okay, create more class so that it's more readable, more maintainable for future enhancements. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a new class that's called a screenshot tutors. Okay, this class is again final. And guys, you can also implement singleton pattern, and then I can get the use a non-static method, but static is pretty cool. Okay, private static. Sorry, guys. Okay, private screenshot utils. Okay, I also have a method public that gonna return me a string. Okay, return me a string and get base 64. Some more meaningful name like you think. And now what do you want to do? I want to take a screenshot. For that I have to use uh, take, there is something called a take screenshot. Okay, and then you have driver manager, get driver. I'm casting that. Dot get screenshot as, okay, output type dot base 64. Right, it's the easiest way to take screenshot. Good. Once you do this, okay, what I have to do, I have to just return it. If somebody is calling, I will return it. That's it. Very simple, right? So even if you want to create it as a, introduce a new local variable, it'll give you the screenshot. Okay, so basically you can write it in two different lines if you feel that is more readable to you. Return screenshot. Okay, anything is fine, guys. Okay, and even my IntelliJ is suggesting just write it in one line. That's more. Okay, cool. So now if somebody is needing a screenshot, maybe let's go to the ExtentLogger. If the test is getting failed, I want to add a screenshot. Okay, then there is a method, something called as okay, even I don't know, extend manager dot get extend test dot fail. Okay, so there is something called as string details and media. You need to use this overloader method, so you can pass the message here and the media entity builder. Okay, so if you want to build a media, you need to use their builder class, because they want an immutable object. Again, guys, I may speak a little complicated here, but just use this media entity builder dot. I want to create a screenshot from base 64 string. Yeah, this is what I want. Okay, if you are using a file type, you can use this, but we are going to use a base 64 string. That is okay. And now what do we want to do? We want to pass the screenshot here. Okay, so for that I can tell screenshot utils dot get base 64 image. Okay, at the end of the day, doing all these things, I need to call the build method. Okay, then only it will return me a media type of object. Okay, so you can do the static imports wherever you want, and then your code looks much clean than before. Okay, good. So now if there is a failure, then it will mark the message as well as fail. Okay, good. Okay, guys, now whenever a test is getting failed, I need to mark that automatically, and the code will work absolutely fine everywhere. But the thing is, I'm not a big fan of keeping my extend report related codes here. Okay, and then calling the create test from before method and all those stuff. What we can else do, there is something called as listeners in TestNG that can basically do the same job for you, so that your base test becomes more clean. Okay, again, if you are interested, you can also keep like this, but this is according to me is not a good approach. So that's why I want my test to be loosely coupled with the reports. If I want to remove something, if I don't want the extend report tomorrow, I'll just remove the listeners. Okay, but here I need to come and code here. Okay, remove these codes. Okay, that's what I don't want to do. Okay, Good. So what I'm going to do, I'll create a new package again. I cannot keep those listeners code somewhere here or somewhere here or somewhere here, right? There should be a proper package for that. Okay. So what I'm creating a new listeners class. Okay. And this listener class is implementing your I test listener. I suite. Okay, this is because I'm not getting the option because in the pom.xml I could have mentioned TestNG scope as test. Okay, if you mention the TestNG scope as test, then it will only be applicable on the test folder, guys, src test resources folder. So I'll remove this. Okay, again, most importantly, you see I'm using a 6.14.3 version. If you are using a version 7 or 7.3, you might need to add those methods manually because those methods have become. So let's I'll explain, guys. Okay, listeners, I should listen. Okay, maybe I have to reload my file. Add library to class path. Yeah, now it is giving me the option to import the class. So I want to import all these things. Okay, so one thing that I want to cover here is, okay guys, so one thing what I want to cover is, in TestNG version 6.14.3, okay, the methods whatever you are seeing here, these are all abstract methods. Okay, if you go to these interfaces, these are all abstract methods. Okay, on test start, this is this. On test success, this is this. Okay, so these are all abstract methods. Whenever you are implementing these interfaces, you need to provide the implementation for them. Okay, but from 7 version, TestNG version 7, they have made this as a default methods. So you can have default methods or static methods in an interface from Java 8. So they have made it as a default methods. So if you have to provide the implementation, you need to change it. Okay, so you need to write them manually and then you have to override those. You will not get an implement option and then you can directly get all these things. Okay, you have to write yourself. Okay, public void on test start override, all those information you have to write it manually. So for now I'm using this. If you're using that, I can copy paste the same code what I'm using here, or you can write it manually. Anything is fine. Okay, because those are all default methods. Okay, so if you notice, there are a lot of methods here. Okay, two of them, is this almost similar to your before suite. Okay, before suite, this is your before suite and this is your after suite. Okay, because we are implementing iSuite listener, this iSuite listener is having two methods and these are the two methods. So what I can directly do, whatever the code that I have written here, I'll cut it and I'll go to my test listener. Sorry guys, they don't need this, and I'll paste here. Okay, and in the base test I have something called as tear down reports. I'll cut it, I'll come here, I'll paste it. Okay, good. Now we have a before suite and after suite that doesn't do anything. Then why we need this? We'll remove it. Okay, that's it. All the things are gone. Now we have before method. In before method we are using like this. Okay, now let's go to the listener class and then there is something called as on test start. This is almost same like your before method. Before every test case that is getting started, this method will be called. You can do whatever the operation you want to do. In our case, what we want to do, we want to actually create a node for test case in the external report. Okay, we call this. But here, this is not a method reflection. So what you can do, there is a result parameter where you can get the name from it. Okay, good. And yeah, this is how I want. So whenever there is a test case that is getting passed, what I want to do, I want to add one more information, maybe ExtentLogger dot pass. Okay, what I have to tell, result dot get name. Okay, is passed. Okay, some information I want to add. So whenever there is a test case that is getting failed, what I have to do, I have to call extend logger not fail. So this fail is accepting only the message, but we are internally taking the screenshot. That's okay. So what I want to result dot get name is failed miserably. Okay, good. And whenever there is something that is getting skipped, we will use extend logger dot skip is skipped, and I can remove this. Okay, good. Again, I don't have to provide an implementation. This is the problem, right? This is the problem why they have moved to default methods. Here we don't have to provide any implementation. Okay, we don't have to provide any implementation. Okay, because we are not using it. Okay, so why someone has to implement an interface, provide an implementation and provide an empty implementation? This is very wrong. So either they have to move this or remove this code, or create a new interface for that. That's what they have done. They have done that using creating it as a default method. So only if you need it, you provide an implementation. That's what happening in the latest version of TestNG from 7 version to 7.3. Okay, again, don't want to provide anything here. This is fine. So this is what I want to do. So let's try to take fail the test case and then see whether it is getting logged properly, the screenshots are taken, all the stuff. Okay, instead of dropped, what I'm just mentioning, I am just mentioning. Okay, let's try to run the test and then check again, guys. Just a small check. So now we have our just a before method and after method. We don't have anything else here. Let's try to run the test.
Amutan, until one question.
Yeah.
Yeah, please run the test. This one, right? I suggested, this retry mechanism.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it good to have retry mechanism in our framework, or is it good not to have that? What
What is your thoughts?
My thought is, some test cases will be passing because of some, flakiness in the UI. If we give one retry, it might come and, we might make it as pass. So like, we are not making it deliverable. We are giving another one chance, I think. So I thought that it is good to have.
Okay.
This is according to my opinion. So
Okay, if you notice, there is a null pointer exception here. Yeah, okay, we'll come to that question in a few minutes. We are facing some issues. Let's take we are getting ExtentLogger 14th test. Okay, is getting failed. Okay, from where? So base page 36. Okay, I'm calling this. In the meantime, okay, so we have added a listeners, right? But we need to mention that we have added a listener. How the testing will know that we have added a listener? So we have to basically add that listener here. Okay, again, I think it will populate me. It's very important that we add the listeners. Okay, I don't know where to add. Maybe I'll copy paste from my existing code that I have in my GitHub repository. Okay, if you notice, this is a between the after the suite tag, you can just add the listeners tag. So in my case, I have only one listener, so that's okay. So let's come to the IntelliJ workspace. Okay, listeners tag. Again, you can remove the unnecessary listeners. Okay, and here com.tnb. Where I have cleared. So I have created this in okay. I think I haven't created a package for this. That's very bad. So basically I have to create a package. Listeners. Sorry guys, again I did something wrong. So let me delete it. New package home.tnb.listeners, and then I need to move this class listener class to this listeners package. Okay, now I have this here. Now I have my testng.xml. It's basically listeners class. Okay, good. so now we have added the listener. Now the TestNG knows that it has a listener that it needs to listen to, and now we will start using it in our code. Okay, so for that, again, there is a swipe test that is included here in the testng.xml. Let's check whether we have something. Okay, I have already commented that, so that it should be a problem. So from here on, you have to only run your testng.xml. If you don't mention your testng.xml, your listeners will not be called. If your listeners will not be called, you will get a null pointer exception because you didn't do the initialization of the reports, all those stuff. Okay, so that's basically what going to happen. So always run it from your testng.xml. You can also use Maven clean test other packages. If you are using a Maven Surefire plugin, you can call this testng.xml from there. Okay, let's try to run this test and then check whether it is working fine now. Okay, now coming back to the question what SK asked. So if your intention is to just make the testers pass, okay, you can basically ignore all the assertion statements. Your test will obviously pass. Okay, so don't do that. Okay, people are doing retrying mechanism. There are a lot of way to do retry mechanisms, but I was doing that as well, but now I have moved away from that concept. And if there is a failure, I will fix it, and then I'll fix the flakiness of the test, and then I'll retry it. Okay, that's a good approach. If you notice, the test got failed, okay, because there is a assertion failure here. Expected was dropped and I was found dropped. Okay, let's also see the index.html now. So if you notice, okay, it's still pointing to the older one, maybe. Why it is not opening? Just a minute.
Refresh the project.
Okay, sometimes, okay, it won't refresh automatically. No, there is something wrong. If I do the refresh here, it should work. Yeah, there is something wrong with that. Let's go step by step. So I am calling the init reports. Okay, I'm calling the teardown reports as well. Okay, so this will be called, and I don't see any error logs as well. So yeah, tap test 44th line is getting failed. That's okay. That means all these got passed. Let's again go to the reports. Okay. It, it has to be called listeners class. Return all the thing. Okay. Otherwise, it would have thrown error. Okay. Anyways, I'll see what is the issue, and then we'll try to resolve that tomorrow. But we'll first answer your question. So yeah, I was doing the retrying for a lot of time. So suppose we are doing the retrying for 2 times. Even after that, the test is getting failed. What we will do? Anyway, it will mark it as a fail or something, right? And if you retry and then you get your results as pass, the older one will be skipped. Okay, so I'm not a big fan of seeing a skipped in a report. Either I need to see a pass or I need to see a fail. I don't want to see skip. What does a skip information gives us? Okay, it doesn't tell us any information, right? We can consider skip as a fail, right? So I stopped doing that. In my office framework also, I didn't do that. My tests are running fine. I get proper results. When there is a flakiness, I'll try to fix the flakiness rather than retrying and somehow make it to pass. Okay, so our intention is not to make it pass, that but to find some defects out of this regression suite. If there is problem with our coding, we need to fix the coding style, right? How we are coding, right? Good, that's how I sound. You may differ, that's up to you, but that's how my personal suggestion. Okay, any
Yes,
other
Amutan.
doubts?
Yes, Amutan. Actually, I suggested this to our team, but
Mm,
I didn't. They told no. Fine, they told no, but they didn't give any proper pakka justification. Okay,
okay.
so I was, I didn't know it. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Even see, if someone is not giving a proper justification, then they are wrong, but they are not trying to, change them. So that is clearly, evident, right? So if you're going for to some argument with some of your friend, they're speaking about something, and you are telling the other side, but they don't give you enough justification, then
Yes.
it's very hard, right? I'm not telling that's a very bad practice, don't do that. So it's my way of coding, right? I don't want to retry my all those stuff. I don't want to do that. I'm not telling the other thing is wrong, but I won't do that. So yeah, it's up to them. Good. Anything from anyone else? Otherwise, we'll wrap the session and we'll connect tomorrow. I will try to fix that listener issue. And tomorrow we will see about data provider, Appium command line interface, and yeah, that's all pretty much we have. We need to do small tweaking. We will do that, but yeah, apart from that, everything is done.
Amudan.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, like we are following the page object model here, right?
Hmm.
So it will be the same like as we do in Selenium, like how to like it's we have app open and we have options are given. So how we manage it, like how we do that?
I don't know. I didn't understand your question clearly, but we are using the framework, with the page object model. So we have the drag and drop page where it contains all the elements that are present in the drag and drop page, right? We also have a excuse me. So we also have a home page that contains all the elements from the home page. So page object model is something that you have your methods as well as the locators of a page in a particular class. You club them together so that you can basically you know you know do a better maintenance whenever someone looking for something in a home page, whether there is a method or it's a variable, they come directly to that particular class and then identify it, do the changes, and then run the test. So that's how it is. That's what the page object model is all about, right? So we are doing that. What is the problem that you see?
So like on the first page, it shows a lot of options, right? So for every option, we make one class because you make one tab test. Like there are lots of like when you open it, like for every option, we make one class, and in that we write or element
Yeah,
and
yeah,
function
yeah,
related to.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what.
But that's why we are optimizing with the things like this, right? We are using XPath. We have covered how to use instead of creating all the elements for them, okay, we can write like this. See, that's the problem with the page object model. If your pages gets bigger and bigger, okay, number of pages, you might need to create a lot of pages. But creating a lot of classes is not a bad practice. Okay, I prefer creating a lot of classes because that will be easier for me to maintain. Okay, if someone comes and see this folder structure, just with the name they can understand what this class is doing. Okay, so it has to be be very clear. Even if you're creating more classes, see, if you notice, we have almost created 1 2 and then 5 8 12, almost 20 classes, right, for this. But this is okay. If I had to add a new test, I won't spend a lot of time. Okay, in maintainability, it comes in very handy. Okay, if you create a lot of class, if you club everything into one class, then what you'll do, where you'll go and edit? So that's very problematic.
Okay.
Okay.
Amatan, for screenshot, you mentioned base 64 screenshot.
Yeah.
So what is difference between base 64 screenshot and normal file type screenshot?
Okay. I think we have that already done. So I think we have another index.html that is our practice project, right? So if you notice, this base 64 screenshot is basically, is attached to the HTML itself. Okay, if I right click, if I click on inspect, okay, you can basically inspect that. Okay, if you notice, this is a base 64 image. Okay, this has this particular, whatever the screenshot that we have took, this you are seeing some text here, right?
Yes.
Some text here. Okay, this text is basically the representation of your screenshot. Okay, so we are taking a screenshot and attaching it to the report itself. Now, if you want to send this report to your manager, what you need to do, you just need to, attach this index.html. Okay, send it as an email, and then, they can see all the screenshot. But if you take a screenshot as a file type, okay, you might also need to send that file to them. Okay, suppose you have 100 screenshot, can you send the 100 screenshot to them? That is not possible, right?
Yes.
So that's why, see, when you are using external
So
file,
basically to attach the screenshots in report.
yeah, in the report itself, so that you don't have to find. If you are using the file format, what the extent report will do, it will only have the path here. Okay, it will have the path to the location. Okay, in your local directory. Okay,
Yes.
so the report will open absolutely fine in your machine, but it will not open correctly in their machine, because in their machine they won't have a path like C users Samudan, and then inside that there is some screenshot folder. They don't have that path. Okay,
Yes.
so that's the reason we are using base 64 form of screenshot. Okay,
And one question from previous session, like there was a thing, APM field decorated.
yeah.
We had to use. What is the use of field decorated?
Okay, now we've been using page factory.init elements, and then we are just telling driver manager comma this, driver comma this, right? All these days. Okay, when we are using it in Selenium. Okay, it's just a class, guys. Okay, you don't worry too much. Okay, init elements is a method. Okay, that
Yes.
takes in an object of this Appium field decorator and your current class, whatever the class you want to initialize this page elements. Okay, so if you go to this init elements class, see, it is taking in a field decorator and then the object. Okay, so now we are passing in an object of this field decorator is a super class. You have subclasses like Appium field decorator, all those things you have. Okay, so this basically uses runtime polymorphism, and then all the let me take out all the jargons. Okay, very simple. Okay, you want to do the initialization of this class, these elements. Okay, in Appium you cannot do that directly. You have to take an help of a Appium field decorator. Okay, that's the only thing that you have to remember. Okay.
Amutan, I have a question.
Mm,
See, we have covered both the approaches, right? One is the page factory and one is the non-page factory, correct?
I have yeah.
Yeah, we have covered. Okay. And this one, right? Suppose if there are, page dependent methods, like, some page is there, we have to do some operations on that page to come to another page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there are, some elements where we need to check whether it is displayed or whether it is enabled in our test class. Okay, so like, is it the right way to make that element as public, or make that methods as public, in order to access those methods in our test class, which we are testing for another page?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
No,
got my question, right?
no, I didn't exactly get your question, but I was a little confused. So you were telling, suppose, let's say, take an example. Okay, you have click on views. Okay,
Yes.
you
Yes.
want this to be accessed from test class directly, is it?
Uh, yeah, test class, not with the tab test. Some other test will come where I will need to access this.
Yeah, you can access. You have to create an instance for this home page, and then you can access. That's why we are creating it this, right?
Okay,
It
okay.
doesn't mean that you have to only use it for only one test case. No, that's not the case.
Mhm.
Suppose you have username, password, and login button.
Mhm.
It will be used in all the test cases. You call the login method, and then it will be used in all the test cases. I
Mm.
don't see any
Okay,
reason.
okay, yeah, I got it. I got it. Okay.
Sometimes if you tend to overthink, okay, we forget the basics. Okay, so don't don't overthink. I normally do that. Don't do that. Okay, good. Anything from anyone else? Otherwise we'll
Uh,
stop.
One question related to get text method. So like in Selenium, it was giving us the text, but text in Selenium and Appium is different. Here, text is an attribute. So here also it gives that text attribute, or it
Yeah,
gives
yeah.
content description.
No, it'll give the text attribute. Okay. So imagine that you have a variable like this. Okay. Private static string text. Okay, you have something like this. Okay, now I'm creating a getter method for this. Okay. Um, and okay, I don't know why it's not coming, but still, okay, public get. So basically you have some method like this, get text, and then you are calling that basically return you. Got it? So this will happen. So it will only return you the text attribute and not the content description. Okay. So in Selenium we call it as a method. Okay, it is an attribute as well, but still, you know, those attribute you can also access using a getter method. Okay, that's what we are doing. Which okay, anything from anyone else? Otherwise, yeah, I'll stop the recording.